Perfect. Well, welcome everybody. This is one of our town hall Zooms, and before we get started, there's several people from the executive board that are on the call. I'll just let them introduce themselves just so that you can see who they are and say hi. So Pam Schultz, I'm currently serving as vice president. I'll be facilitating our conversation today. So Lisa.
Lisa Reindl serving as president. Hard to believe this is my last year on the board.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I, s- let's see. I've got 2 pages here, so it's hard for me to see. I know Marilyn, I heard your voice earlier.
Hi, Marilyn Rippey, secretary, first year on the board.
Awesome. Great. I'm so glad you're here. Well, today what we're going to do is we're going to tell you a little bit about scholarship selection. And the Scholarship Selection Committee has put together a PowerPoint here because there have been some changes. And we want to make sure that everybody knows those and has an understanding of what scholarship selection actually is. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully this will give you all the information you need. So let's make sure I share the correct screen. Here we go. All right. Can everybody see the presentation? Is that good? Perfect. Sounds great. At any time during the meeting today, if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat, because when we're done, we'll go through and answer some questions. So if you have a question, just go ahead and throw it in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. So we'll just get started with some information about that. I just have to make sure I'll tell you our agenda for today. We're going to start by meeting the committee. The committee members are going to take you through telling you about the awards, how to find candidates, how to apply, and then the whole process of how that works when you are actually go through that process when you have someone who has an award. So I'll start just by introducing our committee. And so the Scholarship Selection Committee has 3 PEO members. And their terms are 3 years, which begin at the end of Iowa State Convention. They're appointed at that convention. And each member may serve a second 3-year term. You'll hear from each of them as they go. Our chair, the three positions are chair, vice chair, and recording secretary. Rita Searson is a member of Chapter IX in Waterloo since 2011. She served on the committee for 5 years. She's our current chair. Julie Funkhauser is a member of Chapter OZ in Trainer. She's also served for 5 years on committee and is currently the vice chair. And then Kathleen Sally is a member of Chapter AA in Ames and is a recording secretary, and she served the committee for 4 years. So you can tell we have a very experienced committee. So I know they'll be able to help us out with anything we need to know. The other thing you should know is the current president and vice president of Iowa State Chapter serve as ex officio and advisor to the committee each year, which brings our number up to 5 that are on our committee. So we'll start here with Julie, who can tell us about each of those awards.
The Centennial Award of $3,000 is awarded to a female Iowa resident attending an Iowa college or university. She shall have completed 60 college hours by June of 2025 and may be a full-time undergrad or a full or part-time graduate student. She will have been nominated by an Iowa chapter and will demonstrate academic excellence, maturity, and seriousness of purpose. The instructions and forms may be found under Iowa Philanthropies on the PEOiowa.org site. Deadline for emailed applications is 11:59 p.m., March 1st, 2025.
Julie, is that the same date it was before, the March 1st date for Centennial?
That one is the same, yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Let's hear about Evelyn Beckman.
The 2 Evelyn Beckman Awards in the amount of $500 were initially funded by the estate of Evelyn Beckman, a P.E.O., after her longtime career in special education, specifically with children with deafness and hearing disabilities. First, the Evelyn Beckman Opportunity Award is for a high school senior girl with residency in Iowa. She must be accepted into a full-time program with a major in special education, speech pathology, or hearing or audiology. Second, the Evelyn Advancement Award is for an Iowa female college student pursuing certification in special ed, pathology, or audiology. This is for a full-time undergraduate with a minimum of 75 hours completed by June of 2020, or graduate students. A part-time graduate student may also be considered for a lesser amount based on enrolled class hours. Deadline for applying for the Beckman Awards is 11:59 p.m., February the 15th, 2025. Information and forms for both Beckman Awards and the Centennial Award is found on the P.E.O. Iowa website under Iowa Philanthropies.
And Julie, that's a change, correct, with the Evelyn Beckman Awards?
2 weeks earlier, yes.
2 weeks earlier. And I like to always be reminded there's two different Evelyn Beckmans. So you could have a high school student, or you could be looking for someone who's in their undergrad or graduate. And
Correct.
there's different awards. Can
both or both.
Or both. So could a chapter apply to both of those awards?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Great. Okay. I know you do more than just those. So let's go on to our next one, our McNally Music Award.
Yes. The privately funded McNally Music Scholarship for Women is not a P.E.O. scholarship, and nothing is required of P.E.O. chapters for its application process. It's awarded to a female music student of at least sophomore status at a Midwestern Big Ten university. The deadline for this award application is 11:59 p.m., February 1, 2025. Again, a new date. The link for this scholarship is found at the bottom of the opening page for peoiowa.org.
So, Julie, if I know someone who's attending a Big Ten university, like say the University of Iowa, and was a music major, like I was, it would have been a very nice thing just to tell me about it, correct? Because the chapter wouldn't have to do anything.
That's correct.
You just say, hey, go to this page, the first part of iowapeo.org, and that's where you just tell the student to go there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Excellent. Hey, thank you, Julie. All right, Kathleen, now that we've heard about what some of these awards are, that we have both, we could be looking at high school students, we could be looking at college students. Can you tell me, where do you find these students?
Well, for the high school senior, the best place is the high school. But that requires that you make contact with someone at the high school, particularly a guidance counselor, who could post the information, could also share the information with students that they know might be interested in a scholarship, particularly if they're interested in a scholarship for special education. Don't forget, friends, family, and churches are a good place. Also, for the older students, the ones applying for the Evelyn Beckman Advancement, it is a good place to start with community colleges or colleges and universities who have a special education program. To reach out to those people in charge of those programs, give them the necessary information, and even if you're close, go and meet with them. The important thing is develop a relationship. For the Centennial, that is looking again the same places, but you're looking for a young person who is just outstanding and is already in college. And since that degree is for the last portion of their education, a good place may be checking with the scholarship programming at a particular school if they have any students who are finishing up and are running short on credit. There's plenty of places to find young women.
Thanks, Kathleen. We've got so many women that could use this who are studying special education, so we can go out and find them. So, Rita, now that we know a little bit about the awards, we've found somebody at a community college. Now, what do I do as a member of the chapter?
Okay, if you've done this before for your chapter, it's going to be a little bit different this year. If you haven't done it before, I'm going to start from the beginning. Whatever you do every year, get the current forms from the website. So go to peoiowa.org for these 3 scholarships, the Centennial and the 2 Evelyn Beckman, because they are always being revised, they're always being changed. There's always new either requirements or in this case, this year is new dates and a new process. The chapter nomination form and the student application forms are both on the website as fillable formats. When you go to the website, you can download all of the forms onto your computer and you can fill out that fillable format chapter nomination. And pardon? And save it as a file in your own computer so that you can attach it later, which we'll talk about in a second. The fillable format that you are downloading for your student, you will email that to them so that they can fill that out, complete it, and return it to your chapter. This is really important, especially this year, to have it done in this manner. It will also give you all of the instructions. There are instruction forms on there. And again, review those, read through everything. We take a lot of time as a committee every year to update these so that you have the most current information. Okay, so the next, okay, this year, we are not mailing these to the committee. In order to save costs for everyone and to expedite the process, we have gone to emailing all of these to us. You will email the chair, which in this case, this year it will be me. But again, every year it'll be a different person. So you always want to get the new forms. The subject line on your email will read the award name. So if you're sending me an award for an application for the Centennial, all we want in the subject line is Centennial. If you're sending it for Evelyn Beckman Opportunity, say Evelyn Beckman Opportunity. Don't want your chapter name, don't want the name of the girl. That's all we want. And the reason why is we're trying to process 4 different awards coming in. That's including the McNally. And we want to make sure that we are processing those at the correct times and we're looking at the correct items for that particular award. Do not write in the body of your email. The reason for this is the only items that we will be considering will be attachments. And the attachments will be what the different committee members, the 5 committee members, will be reviewing. If it's in your text area, it's not going to be considered. So do not write your chapter letter in the text. Make it as a separate document. If you send it in and it's a text, I will mail it back to you and say, please put this in as an attachment before it's considered. So attach all of your documents to one email, and that includes all of the transcripts, the student's essay, their acceptance letters, anything that's required for each particular award, that needs to be attached to that one email. We get 50 plus, so we can't be marrying up multiple emails. So we want one email. be very aware of the deadline dates for
Take a
award,
screenshot.
which I think I don't know, somebody else is talking. Anyhow, I think that is probably pretty much most of it. Just make sure that you're checking the award dates, make sure you have all your documents, and if you have technical issues, check with the technology committee person in your particular chapter.
Rita, I think we get to be able to see what that email should look like.
Right.
Walk that
So,
through with us.
I have a sample here, and this is what I should be seeing when you email your chapter's application. This one is showing Evelyn Beckman Opportunity Award. It's showing Sue Smith's essay attachment, the chapter letter, her college acceptance letter, her transcripts, and so forth. All of the documents are in there as attachments. This is how it should come into us.
Excellent. And I do see there is nothing in the body of the email. There's just the Evelyn Beckman Opportunity Award in the subject with all of the documents that you need in the
Correct.
attached email.
Because the chapter letter is in a Word document, which they have attached.
Perfect. Thank you, Rena. Kathleen, so now that the committee has received all of this information, which I know you get a lot of different detachments and letters and things to read, what happens?
What will happen is that after the deadlines are reached, each committee member, that being the three P.E.O. members and our advisor, which is you, and the president, who is Lisa, will have an opportunity to read and score each application. As they do that, they then, within that particular award group, will rank the applicants. And then we schedule, somewhere in March, we will schedule a joint meeting where the rankings of each member are combined and our final selections are made based on the highest ranking. The chair then, once we make our selections, the chair will notify the president and the vice president with a list of winners. And then the executive board meets shortly after that, and they will ratify both of the Evelyn Beckman Awards. The Centennial Award is sent on, and then also along with any McNally's ones, that award winners that we have, those are sent on to the P.E.O. Foundation. And once we have decisions made, the applicants and the chapter presidents and project chairs will be notified by email of the status, whether their applicant has been awarded the award or whether they were not awarded. But I have to remind you that the process for the foundation ratification can take anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks. And award winners are then announced at the state convention during the selection of the scholarship selection committee presentation. And then also we will have those on our table in the projects room.
You talked a little bit about having some scoring and that kind of thing that goes along with looking at these applications. So what are you actually looking for?
We'll get there. Ah, I am sorry. There we go. Um, what we are looking for, and I will add that, we have a metrics that we use, and the metrics is based on a number of criteria. And chapters need to remember that these awards are merit-based. Therefore, one of the criteria is going to be academic excellence. And a student really needs to have on their transcript a GPA of at least 3.5 up to 4. The next thing that is important is the student's essay. And in that, they can share with us their school involvement. And that demonstrates their character and their passion. It is also very helpful that a student who seeks to seek out related experiences in their area of study, and that shows their interest and passion, particularly if you have a young woman who is working in a classroom at a high school with a special education teacher, or you have someone who is already in college and they're doing some activities outside of their college environment, and they're doing stuff in the community where they're seeking to gain skills working with children who have various needs. And the biggest thing is to encourage the student to tell her story. That's where the passion and the interest and her goals for achievement come out.
Excellent. I was just thinking about around here, someone who would be like volunteering out at camp, in Wyoming at Camp Courageous or something, right? That would be able to show their involvement beyond school. Or we also have in some of our schools a buddies program for our high school students that are doing that. And we have a special needs prom in our area. So anytime getting involved outside of the actual classwork, I think is important. It shows us that you really are wanting to go beyond just our schooling. So
Absolutely, Pam. And we do get a lot of applicants who are working on their educational degrees at like the University of Northern Iowa. And a lot of them will seek out in the community a number of programming that specifically works with children in needs. And that's important. That type of experience really rises to the level that boosts up their experience.
awesome. Rita, Julie, and Kathleen, it's just fantastic for you to go through that information. I have already received a couple questions in the chat. So I will start with our first question. Our first question in the chat, is Nebraska included in the Big Ten? This is for the McNally Music Scholarship.
Yes, it is. In fact, we had a Nebraska recipient a couple of years ago.
Excellent. So I'm going to assume the ones that aren't included are the new crazy reorganization that includes UCLA, Oregon, Washington, that kind of group. They're not involved yet. Is that correct?
That's correct. Not at this time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. The next question I have is, does the president and vice president have a vote as part of the committee?
Absolutely, they do. All 5 people, the 3 committee members and the president and vice president, do their own, and I'm going to put this out there. Everybody does their own reading and scoring of these by themselves. Then we come together to discuss these. So we're not trying to influence each other. And the other thing is, I'm going to interject with that same question is, if a chapter happens to have 3 applications, Centennial, Evelyn Beckman Opportunity, and Evelyn Beckman Advancement, if all 3 of their candidates happen to be the top people, they will all get that. I've heard this from chapters that they feel like, well, if they get one, they're not going to get the other. That's not so. It's based upon the candidate. It's not, we're not saying, well, chapter ZZY got one, so we're not going to give this other one to them because, it's not fair. It's not fair to the student to not give it to the best candidate.
Well, and I'd add to that, that really when we're ranking, what chapter they come from kind of falls away.
Needing prominent skin, heart attack, stroke, and GI tears occur. People 50 and over with
Chapters
heart
for
disease risk.
statistical purposes, but the chapter that they come from does not play into the ranking at all.
Alrighty, I stopped the share because that last screen is just, do you have questions? So those were the only questions I got out of the chat. Is if I would encourage you, if you have questions, to put them in the chat, or I don't know if I can see everybody at once. If you want to raise your hand, it's a lot easier with the chat if you have further questions.
And I might want to remind you to unmute because there were some distractions, so I muted a few of you.
Silent bunch.
I know. I'm just curious on the bunch. If your chapter, this is just for my own curiosity, if your chapter has sponsored someone in the past or made an application, successful or not, can you just like raise your hands? We can see if people have been applying for this. Awesome. Awesome. I have another question that has come into the chat. There are 7 references to young women. Are these available to non-traditional students? So let's say you've decided to go back as another career, a second career, say you're in your 30s or 40s. Are you able to apply for any of these?
Yeah, go ahead, Julie.
The Centennial Award particularly would be fine. The others, as long as they're going into the special ed fields, would be fine. Often you might find a teacher that's been teaching 2nd grade and decide they want to do something with special ed at high school level or still elementary. They could apply for graduate work.
So really the only thing, I was going to say, so really the only thing a non-traditional student could not apply for would probably be the high school award. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Additionally, and Julie really addressed it well, but with the students that are in the special education, a lot of them go back, they'll start their teaching before they go for the masters. And so they might teach for a couple years and then decide to go back. And if you're reading through everything on these awards, they can apply for the Evelyn Beckman Advancement as a part-time graduate student as well as full-time. So they could very well apply for that even if they're going while they're teaching.
Could you share with us some of the criteria you have for the Centennial Award?
It's basically the same as for the others. It's on academic achievement and their goals and what past experiences and their character.
The only difference, actually, it's very similar to the Evelyn Beckman Advancement Award, excepting that they can be going into any field And they can also apply if they're a part-time graduate student as well. And there is a difference on the number of hours. I think that they only need 60 plus hours by June 15th of the award year, whereas it's 72 or more by June 15th of the award year for the advancement. But yes, the criteria are all pretty much the same. And as, you know, when I've talked to people about it, um, it's or in the chapters, the big difference between these students that I have seen over the years in looking at these is most of them that we get are very high academic. They have great activities. They have great hobbies. They have, you know, the community service leadership. A lot of them kind of end up just pretty even. I mean, there might be one or two that, you know, drop down below that, but I mean, generally speaking, the chapters are pretty good at vetting these. The big difference is the essays. I would say that shows the essays are what really shows the passion of the student. And what you really want to make sure that you're working with your students and encouraging them to write essays that tell their story and don't just regurgitate the same information they already have in their activities and everything. And there have been times where you get an essay and it's like, well, I was a cheerleader and I did this and that, and I'm in this club and that club. Well, we know all that. You just told us that over on these other sheets. Tell us something else. Tell us the essence of you. Tell us what makes you tick. How did you get to where you are right now?
And what would you recommend that the chapters letters, what should they emphasize? I know we did it one time and I felt like we were just regurgitating what the gal had written herself.
And the same thing with that. Don't regurgitate the same information we're going to get. Tell us something different about them. Tell us why are you supporting them? What made them unique and what made that individual check all of your boxes as a chapter that you want to support her for that award.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to share my screen quick so that we've gone through a lot of information, but you can find all of this on our website. So I was just going to show you real quickly where you can find it. So when you're on the Iowa P.E.O website, this is just, I'm on our home screen. Hopefully you can see all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops, I took something else. And on our home screen here, if you go under Iowa Philanthropies, if you click on that, it's the very first thing. This is on the far left. Then you can get under here and you start seeing things like the IPPF, Iowa Cotty College. There we have Centennial, Evelyn Beckman, and McNelly. And when you go down to something like Centennial, it will give you information like the newsletter. This is the information at a glance. So when you want to know, okay, which one does this person really fit? You can go straight to the website and see who fits in there. And then all of the application information is also on that same page. And you could do the same thing for Evelyn Beckman. When they have here, it gives you the same things, facts at a glance. Who can this be? Then how do you apply? And here's your information and useful information. So I really encourage you, if your chapter's getting ready to consider sponsoring someone, hop on the Iowa P.E.O website and find out, okay, so what does she fit? Is this going to fit in this category? And I'm always like to remind people, this is a scholarship. It is not a loan or a grant. It is a scholarship. And so it's for individuals who really stand out. And so as you're finding your individuals that really stand out, this is who you want to be looking for these awards. Okay, well, I don't see a whole lot of other questions, and I know that I'm just very thankful that you could join us. I have a huge thanks to our committee members, Rita, Julie, and Kathleen. It's a big deal that we're moving to this electronic and having everything done in this way. And so a big shout out to Kristen Smith, who is our technology advisor, who's really helped with these fillable PDFs. But I do encourage you to lean on your technology advisor or someone younger that could help you if you run into trouble. But I know that our committee will help as well, because we want you to be able to get your candidates so that we can read their information. So just take your time, make sure you're following all the steps and directions. It's pretty well laid out on that website. But a huge thank you to the committee for all the work they've done. They've worked so hard this summer to get all this done. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
All righty.